Hi and welcome to Best in Tesla. In today's video I will show you the facts about the so-called slowing EV demand versus plug-in hybrids, or the fake electric vehicle as Transport and Environment are calling them, and show you that the people who think hybrids are going to take off now because the legacy automakers say so, well, they don't seem to know about the emission target that is coming up in 2025, so already next year and 2030, or the utility factor that are about to change for plug-in hybrids next year and 2 years after that. Again, legacy automakers con about hybrids, the fake electric vehicle, are about to end next year. At the same time, BEVs will hit the next big growth wave. This could potentially be a deadly cocktail for the legacy automakers that are focusing on the wrong car of the future. So let's check out all the facts and let's dive right in. So this article from ARK Invest discussed the slowing demand for electric vehicles, contextualizing it against broader market trends. Despite a slowdown in growth rate in percentage, EV market share continues to increase, signaling a shift away from gas-powered vehicles. Yes, the percentage of growth will slow down as BEV get more and more market share. This is completely normal in a disruption, as ARK Invest could also show that the trend reflects a normal phase in the adoption curve of the disruptive technology, where growth rate naturally decline as the technology scales. The implication for the car industry over the next 5 to 10 years is significant. Companies that invest in EVs now are positioned to capture increasing market share as the shift toward electric mobility continues. Traditional automakers that fail to adapt or even backing down in the EV race, risking falling behind in the transition to the electric vehicle. If legacy automakers are slowing down their EV production amidst the race towards a 100% battery electric vehicle market share, the repercussion could be manifold. Firstly, they might lose market share to more agile competitors, including new entries focused solely on EVs. This could lead to significant financial and reputational damage, making recovery difficult, like GM that has been nothing but talk for many years and come up with all kinds of claims, but we are witnessing it all comes crumbling down around them, and they are definitely heading for some reputational damage. Secondly, regulators' pressure and consumer demand for greener transportation solution might further alienate these companies, pushing them towards outdatedness. Lastly, slowing down EV production could hold back the overall transition to sustainable transport, delaying environmental benefit and technological advancement in the sector. And before you start screaming about how bad the EVs for the environment is, showing me that you have been buying into Toyota and the other legacy automakers' claims about how much better a hybrid is, well, let's look at the facts and the science that is out there. Transport and Environment have made a huge study all the way back in 2020. Transport and Environment is the European Federation for Transport and Environment. It is founded from various institutes like the European Climate Foundation, European Commission, Climate Work Foundation, and many more. This is just an environmental federation and a collaboration between 23 European countries. So they have no hidden agenda. They are just fighting for a better and cleaner future for us all. Julia Poliskanova, Senior Director for Clean Vehicles at Transport and Environment, said plug-in hybrids are fake electric vehicles built for lab tests and tax breaks, not real driving. Our test shows that even in optimal condition with a full battery, the car pollutes more than advertised. Unless you drive them softly, carbon emission can go off the chart. Governments should stop subsidizing these cars with billions of taxpayers' money. Exactly, but the legacy automakers, of course, don't blame the car, but their customers. That's a good idea. Blame your customers. As T&E write, car makers blame drivers for plug-in vehicles' high emission, but the truth is that most plug-in hybrids are just not well made. They have weak electric motors, big polluting engines, and usually can't fast charge. The only way plug-ins are going to have a future is if they completely overhaul how we reward them in the EU car CO2 test and regulations. Otherwise, plug-in hybrids will soon join diesel in the dustbin of history. Amen to that. And thanks to all the research done by Transport and Environment, we will get stricter emission targets and more, but more about that in a minute, because Transport and Environment found that even when many of the hybrids are in EV mode, the ICE engine is still running. In correspondence obtained by Transport and Environment about why Kia's Niro did this, Kia explained that when the coolant temperature is lower than 14 degrees Celsius, so like 90% of the time in my part of the world, and you turn on the climate control for heating, the vehicle will automatically switch to hybrid mode as the engine is required to provide heat for the passenger. So the whole idea of hybrid driving in EV-only mode is a big con, according to Transport and Environment. The only reason legacy automakers are keen on making them is because selling plug-in hybrids makes it easier for car makers to meet the EU emission targets, as plug-in hybrids are currently giving additional credits. But that is about to change here in Europe, so all this talk about legacy automakers shifting to plug-in hybrids is going to be very short-term for them, especially here in Europe, because from 2025, so already next year, the EU will significantly reduce the so-called utility factor of the hybrids, which is the share of electric driven the regulators use for calculating CO2 emission of a plug-in hybrid. For 2027, the utility factor of plug-in hybrids will be fully aligned with how they are driven in the real world. And as you can see here on this chart from Transport and Environment, private plug-in hybrid vehicles use about 3 times as much fuel as originally thought and automakers claim, and company cars use even 5 times more. They barely plug them in. And this is not only Transport and Environment. So if you think the European Union will just ignore all of this data, well, you would be wrong, as European Union has done their own study on the matter as well. And funny enough, they come to the same conclusion. For plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, the real-world CO2 emission were on average 3.5 times higher than the laboratory values, which confirms that these vehicles are currently not realizing their potential, largely because they are not being charged and driven fully electric as frequently as assumed. And as you can see on this chart, already next year, the emission target here in Europe are going to be even tougher overall. On top of that, the plug-in hybrid's utility factor will be reduced. So next year's these stupid fake electric vehicles, as Transport and Environment so rightly calls them, will not be as green as they are today, and the EU emission will be even harder to get to by using hybrids. And already in 2030, so only 6 years from now, the emission target will be even tougher. But before that, already in 2027, just 3 years from now, the hybrid's utility factor will be reduced even more, making them more than 3 times less green for the legacy automakers to get under their emission target. So for people to think that these fake electric vehicles will take off now is not really keeping up with what is going on. This will be short-lived and probably mostly here in 2024, as this year will in many ways be a transition year for many, but on the other side, stricter emission emission targets and lower utility factor awaits for hybrids. So they might gain a bit here in 2024, but BEVs will no doubt keep their growth and even speed up much faster in 2025 and beyond, because the ban of all ICE cars might first be in 2035, but the emission targets and the utility factors are going into effect already next year, 2027 and 2030. So by then we will not have much new ICE sales left anyway, as it will be clear for everyone where this is going and that BEV is taking 100% market share in the future, as the emission target will be impossible to get to with plug-in hybrids and ICE cars. You cannot do it. You will have to get the majority of your vehicles being fully electric to have a chance to get under the 2030 emission target, especially with 2027's utility factor on hybrids. So no, BEVs are not really slowing down. They are still growing and growing fast and will continue to do so, and 2024 might not be as fast growing as we used to, but believe me, when we hit 2025 and especially 2027, BEVs will be the all-dominating force in the car industry. But it's not like BEVs are just dropping out of the sky, as many mainstream media and legacy automakers want you to believe. In 2022, we had about 7.8 million BEVs sold globally. In 2023, we sold just around 10 million vehicles, so up about 2.2 million units. But EV volumes and many other experts expect BEV sales to grow to about 12.8 million in 2024. And they were right last year when they predicted 10 million BEV sales in 2023. So their track record is quite good. So grow with about 2.8 million units here in 2024. So if you're really bad at math, that would be more unit growth in 2024 than in 2023. Yes, the percentage might not be as high as the volume gets bigger, but as I said, this is just natural. But the growth has not stopped, if that is what people are hearing. There will roughly be sold 3 million more battery electric vehicles in 2024 than in 2023. So we should get somewhere around 30% growth this year on BEVs. But plug-in might also look strong this year, as you can bet your dollar that the old legacy automakers will try to push as many as they can down the throat of their customers before it's too late. And for someone like GM, Ford, Toyota and Volkswagen to start focusing on hybrids now, when they are in a BEV race where most of them are already behind, for the future of the automotive industry, I think will be a fatal mistake, and the repercussion will be many. But as Krajinska, a mission engineer at Transport and Environment, said, we welcome the end of the myth that plug-in hybrids are low-emission vehicles. Car makers will no longer be able to sell high-volume plug-in hybrids for the sole purpose of weakening their climate target. If they want to avoid EU fines, they will have to sell generally green cars that help reduce our oil consumption. And if you're one of the person that thinks we have to mine the whole planet and all these batteries, it's worse for the environment than an ICE car, you need to watch my video called The Materials We Mine. As Transport and Environment has also shown, ICE cars use about 300 to 400 times as many resources as a BEV over its lifetime when recycling of the battery is taken into calculation. So no, hybrids are not taking over at all, and BEV sales are not going to not grow this year, but percentage-wise, yes, it will be less as the volume grows. And legacy automakers are desperately trying to convince its customers that plug-in hybrids are the future, which will be a fatal mistake, as this could not come at a worse time, with all the new emission and utility factors coming already next year. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.